Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Movie News, our very special editorial, if you will, breaking down the 2015 Academy Award nominations. They were announced this morning at 5:30 a.m. here in Los Angeles. I thought it was bad that I had to get up to watch them. Apparently, Alicia had to actually get up at like 4:30 to go to them.
3:45. Thank you very much. I had to be there at
That's still
4:30. I know. Hence the eye bags. But I'm glad I was there in the room just to hear all the reactions to these nominations.
Oh, and the reactions have been echoing through the intersphere ever since. This, of course, the Oscars is the biggest day of the movie calendar, and the nominations coming up are the things that lead up to it. So we're going to talk about what's going on. I'm going to introduce, first of all, the guys who are joining me. Sitting way there on the end is Mr. John Schnepp.
What's up?
Beside him, Mr. Dennis Zen.
Hello.
Of course, I was going to say, of course, Elisa Malone, but Alicia's over there. Amy Rose Eisenbach.
We're interchangeable AMCI girls.
Christian Harloff.
Everything is.
And
starts.
the aforementioned Alicia Malone.
I feel like I've stepped on a Lego piece.
Oh, so look, we're going to go through the categories here, talk about some of the things that we thought might have been surprises, that we're happy about, that we're not so happy about, and there's no point in waiting to get to it because it is the elephant in the room. We might as well start with the big one. The announcements are being made today, and we mentioned this on AMC Movie Talk earlier. And for Best Animated Picture, and I went through, I was telling the guys at lunch, I went through earlier today, just to make sure I'm not crazy, I went through like 5 of award seasons websites that just specialize in covering the award season, and like 4 out of the 5 had picked the Lego Movie to win the Academy Award this year in Best Animated Picture. And they're going through the list of the nominees. No Lego Movie nominated for Best Academy or for Best Animated Feature, which to me is the big stunner. Now, something I said earlier on the show, and I'll preface everything we do here today, is that I very, very sparingly use the word snub. I think it's like tragically overused by people. As soon as snub, when somebody says snub, that really means the guy I wanted to get nominated didn't get. I usually only say something is a snub if it's obviously egregious. And to me, it's not obviously egregious unless the person you expected to get nominated had a legitimate shot at not just being nominated, but a legitimate shot at winning it. Because if they had no shot at winning it, there's not much complaining that they didn't get nominated anyway. To me, there might be 2 or 3 snubs on this year's list, but the only true one that I got was this Lego Movie one. Because I thought it was going to win the damn thing, and it doesn't even get nominated. Anyway, let's start over on this end. Alicia, your reaction when you first heard that the Lego Movie didn't get nominated for Best Animated Feature?
Well, as I was saying, I was in the room, and it's funny because they read them out alphabetically, and as soon as it went past L, everyone went, no!
You could hear it when I was watching it live, too. The air all came out of the room.
Everyone could not believe that it didn't get nominated because not only was it one of the best or the best animated features from last year, but it was one of the best movies from last year, and I don't understand why it didn't get nominated.
Christian, your reaction?
Oh yeah, I was the same. I couldn't believe it. I kept reading it over. I'm like, my eyes are broken or something. I'm like, I'm going through it, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Let me see these 2. There were 2 movies in there that I hadn't seen.
Right.
But then I said, you know what? I haven't seen those, so I'm not going to judge those for being in there. What I will do is look at the other ones and think if those should have been nominated over it. And as much as I like the Box Trolls, it wasn't better than the Lego Movie.
That's exactly what I said this morning too. I was thrilled when they came up to Box Trolls. I felt so happy. I'm like, I'm so glad this movie's getting some love because I really enjoyed Box Trolls. I thought it was really clever. I think maybe the best film that studio's ever done.
You know what they should do though?
But it's not the Lego Movie.
It's not the Lego Movie. All the people who predicted it to win, everyone involved in the Lego Movie should go to those people and say jinx. Because that's exactly what happened. That's the biggest snub. There are a couple that I do think were snubs also, but that's the ultimate snub.
Schnepp, you heard that the Lego Movie didn't get nominated. Your reaction?
I think it's just that, Ampus, there's so many old people that I think they got confused and thought the Lego Movie was part of another category like Weed Blows and Lincoln Logs. They were like, that must be part of the game animated movie. That's the only thing that I could possibly fathom because it is the biggest snub of the whole everything that's gone down.
The one thing that I gotta say on the old, because that seems to be a lot of people say, there's internet comments all the time and say, it's old people, and a lot of people say that old people just didn't get it. You have to remember that the Academy is made up of a lot of people our ages as well too, and it's not
A lot of people are.
Yeah,
Totally.
the majority is over 60.
Yeah, the majority's over 60, but there are members.
But there's still
yeah.
members that are still.
But
voting
Christian,
for
I'm
it.
saying they didn't see it. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they didn't watch it.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
Right.
saying
and then because of it, then they
they looked at a title and said Lego movie.
Yeah.
They
Right.
didn't
Our
see the
reaction.
movie.
Right.
We
Okay,
had
that's
the
what I'm
same
saying. I can see that.
reaction when we heard that at Comic-Con. Dennis and I covered the press line. We're like, cool, we get to talk to Miller and Lord for Lego Movie, and they were so much fun. Then we saw the film. We're like, this is amazing. So maybe they just didn't, invest the time and energy like the rest of us did. That completely turned around our expectations because
It
mine were
is-
low initially.
Well, before I give more thoughts, Dennis, you heard about it. Your reaction to it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you in terms. I mean, I thought there was a bunch of minor snubs, but that was the standout one because, yeah, I liked some of the other. I didn't watch those lesser two ones on there, but the other three, I enjoyed all three of them. But Lego Movie was by far better than those three, and not to even get nominated.
Definitely.
That's huge.
It is big. And the one unfortunate thing here too, because I, like everybody else, I ended up sitting down as if this was some global catastrophe. I ended up sitting down trying to rationalize why. And I think for a lot of us, and I've read a lot of people online too, we instantly go to nefarious reasons, right? We go to because they're old. We go to because they didn't see it. We go
They're
to
anti-yellow
because it's
building
politics.
blocks.
They're anti-yellow. They have something against the color yellow.
They're big business.
And we don't just stop and say, you know what, this is just one of those cases where a film is subjective and there were enough people on there who just didn't buy into the identity of the film the way that a lot of us do.
John, that's
Don't
simply
like that.
impossible. What you're saying is completely, simply not possible. Like, I would love to think that. I don't think it's nefarious to say they didn't watch it, because how many of those people saw the other two movies that none of us saw that somehow got nominated?
Do you think people in the Academy expected to be nominated, so threw their votes towards the others?
But I think that's where the snubs come
Seems
from.
possible.
bizarre.
But I also think that adding into what a snub is that we hear, especially for what we do, the talk of the buzz of what's going to be nominated, what could be nominated, what the front runners are, and like you said, everyone was talking about the Lego Movie possibly winning it, but no one even thought it was a possibility for it not to be nominated.
Inconceivable.
So that's to me
To
why
quote
it's
the
a
Princess
snub,
Bride.
because if people use the Argo, what happened with Argo last year.
Argo.
Remember that Argo was in talks in September, October, around that time. As soon as it came out, people were talking, this is going to be an Oscar nominated movie, so that's why it qualified as a snub. That's why this does. That's why some of the Selma stuff we'll get into a little later. I can understand it because it came out so late and it wasn't in the conversation, but we can talk about it later.
Yeah, I don't like the manufactured outrage of a snub, but I am outraged about the Lego Movie.
Yeah, it's really too bad, and and that plays into the human element of the Oscars. It is a subjective thing, and it wouldn't be interesting if there wasn't a couple of out of left fields. I was just shocked.
you have no soul.
And I gotta say, I went down. I tweeted a bunch this morning about I was disappointed about this and this and this and this, but I had to stop myself, and then I also put this on my Facebook. I said, you know what? The reality is, even I think the Academy got it like 95% right, but it is in our nature to sit here and talk about the things we didn't like and what went wrong. So
I go 80% right.
you thought 80%? I thought like 95% right. Okay, so let's move on to some of the categories. We're going to go over some of the bigger categories here. We're going to talk about what we liked and what we didn't like about it. We're going to start with Best Picture. As it turns out, 8 films got nominated for Best Picture. For those of you who don't know, and I don't even fully grasp it myself, so I'll just give you the general gist. The Academy doesn't sit down and say, this year we will nominate 6, or this year we'll nominate 8. They have a voting process. So they all cast their ballots first. Then they take, okay, the movies that get this many votes or this many first place votes, whatever, stay in the running. All the others get wiped away. And then they vote again. And they do the same thing. They winnow it down. And now they have a process and a formula that says, if by the time you get to this point in the process, you can have a minimum of 5, maximum of 10. It can be any number of those films. And it turns out that the process brought them down to 8 this year. The 8 films nominated for Best Picture are American Sniper, Birdman, which, by the way, I'll acknowledge up front just so I don't get crap from people online later, is also called Birdman or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, but I'm only going to refer to it as Birdman. Boyhood, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Imitation Game, Selma, The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash. Just right off the bat, the 2 that stand out to me, and every year, it doesn't matter how good or bad I think a year is, whenever we get to the Oscars and we read the nominees for Best Picture, I always remind myself, this was actually a really good year in film. There's some really great films. But the two that are really weird for me, number one is Gone Girl. I really thought for most of this year that Gone Girl would be on the list.
It's really dark, though.
And if it had been 5 nominees, I would, okay, I get it. It's not there. At 7 or 8, I almost would have guaranteed it would have been on there. But the other one that really stands out to me is Foxcatcher. And the reason is not just because of how good I think Foxcatcher is. This might be the first time. We'll have to look this up. Ray, you might want to start looking up this question. It might be hard to find. I cannot, in my mind, ever remember a movie being nominated for Best Director, Best Actor, Best Screenplay, and not get a Best Picture nomination. Best Director, Best Actor, Best Screenplay, no nomination for Best Picture. I find that just a little bit weird. But I don't have an argument against any of these films that are on here. Even American Sniper, which I think is the weakest on the list, I'm not going to complain that it's on there. I think it's a very good movie. I think it's a very solid movie. But those are the ones that stood out to me. Dennis, let's start with you. What was surprising to you about this list?
Well, yeah, one was Gone Girl not being on there, and I had hoped that Nightcrawler would have made it on there, because that was one of my favorite movies of the year. American Sniper, to be honest, that kind of surprised me. I haven't seen it yet. And the reason why I haven't seen it yet, and I will eventually, is I didn't think it had a chance of getting nominated. Honestly, I didn't hear mixed things about it. And so I was like, I'll put that off. I'm going to go. I had time for one movie. I watched Unbroken, not because I thought it was going to get nominated, but I wanted to see Roger Deakins' cinematography.
Right.
So I watched that instead. No clue. And then I'm like, American Sniper? And so that was the one that kind of really stood out to me. Birdman's my favorite movie of the year, so I'm hoping it wins. I don't think it's going to.
It's got the most nominations. That and The Grand Budapest Hotel tied with 9 for the most nominations. Schnepp, Best Picture race.
Yeah, I agree with Dennis. I think Birdman, to me, is the best picture of the year. Boyhood is right there with it. Yeah, Nightcrawler not being part of the nomination and American Sniper, I agree. I thought American Sniper and Imitation Game, to be honest with you, are two okay films. They're not great films. And I thought Nightcrawler is far above both of those. So whatever their weird way of getting 8 movies or 9 movies, it's strange to me, but it's missing a couple that should be in there.
Alicia.
Yeah, it's such a complex way of voting. I don't think I quite understand it, and I don't think a lot of the Academy members actually understand how the Best Picture works. But I would have loved to see Nightcrawler in there and Foxcatcher and Gone Girl, because they were some of my favourite movies from last year. But really excited that Whiplash got a nomination.
Yeah.
Because it absolutely deserves it. It doesn't have a chance to win, but it deserves it. And then it's always strange when you have things like Selma, Best Picture, but apparently it directed itself.
Right.
It's always weird when that happens. It happens a lot in Oscars.
Well, I mean, by definition, too, as the moment you have more Best Picture nominees than director nominee positions, there's going to be 3 or 4 that automatically get nominated for Best Picture without Best Director. And the reason I'm not getting too upset about the absence of Gone Girl or Foxcatcher or Nightcrawler, which I also really like Nightcrawler, is that I never thought any of those 3 even had a shot at winning. And so that goes back to my beginning thing, where if it didn't even have a shot at winning, I can't be terribly upset about it not getting a nomination.
But it's just about getting a nomination.
And the honor of that. Yes, absolutely. And Christian, your thoughts on the Best Picture race?
I don't know where Devil's Due is. I'm looking for that. No, I agree with pretty much everything you guys said. I would scratch out American Sniper, and I'd definitely put a Nightcrawler out of all of them, then Gone Girl. I can understand why Foxcatcher as a movie didn't get nominated for Best Picture. I think that the performances were the strongest part of that film. But for me, Nightcrawler was one of my favorites. I'm very happy that Whiplash got nominated. But yeah,
American. You could say that about the performances of Theory of Everything and Imitation Game.
Yeah, the funny thing is what I'm going to say is, and I know that I'm in the minority here, and I know that, and it's not necessarily because I want it to win, but I think that the Theory of Everything is going to wind up being a surprise and winning Best Picture.
Bold prediction.
It's a bold prediction, and it literally, it's just something that I was just, for some reason, I think it's going to win. I could be off. Chances are Birdman's going to take it, but I'm going to go ahead and say Theory of Everything wins.
If there were going to be a surprise, I think it would be Eddie Redmayne over Michael Keaton, even though I think Keaton's the front runner for Best Actor. But if there were to be a surprise for Theory, I think that's going to be
And I don't think that would be a shocking
It's not going to be a
surprise.
shock, but I think that Keaton, everyone assumes he's the front runner right now. He's the legacy actor, all that. Best Picture, I'm really happy about Whiplash especially. I think there is a change in just the films and what consumers want. Really happy about Grand Budapest Hotel as well. Wes Anderson getting his first director nom this year for his entire career.
Well, we'll get
What?
to Best Director later.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's his movie. He wrote and directed it. But I'm very thrilled about that. American Sniper, I was not surprised that it's getting this. He is the most famous American sniper in history. Like, it's kind of, and then you have Clint Eastwood, who is also a legacy director. So I'm not surprised it's getting love. I also think there are other films. Nightcrawler was my number 2 favorite film of the year, so I'm sad it's not there. Why not just include 2 more films? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Because that's not the formula.
But just do 10. Let's just do 10. Come on, Academy.
It used
What
to do
about
that for some
13?
reason.
Exactly.
Just have 13.
10 is round, but
But then you're including films that everybody knows just doesn't even
Just
have a
put
shot.
every
so.
movie that came out last year and see what happens.
So let's start over here, Alicia, and we'll work our way down just very quickly. Should win, will win.
Should win, Birdman. Will win, Boyhood.
Shoot. Should win. Actually, I'm going to say Selma. No, excuse me. Should win Whiplash. Should win Whiplash. And I think that Theory of Everything will win.
Yeah, me, should, and will are both Birdman.
Want Whiplash. I'm tied between Birdman and Boyhood. I think either could take it, but I think I'll probably go Boyhood because of the 12-year madness.
Should win, Birdman. Will win, probably Boyhood.
Schnepp?
Should win Birdman, will win Birdman.
All right.
Yay.
Let's move on to the next category here, which is the Best Actor in a Leading Role. The nominees are Steve Carell for Foxcatcher, Bradley Cooper for American Sniper, Benedict Cumberbatch for The Imitation Game, Michael Keaton for Birdman, Eddie Redmayne for The Theory of Everything. All great performances. No, let me take that back. I thought Bradley Cooper was a good performance. I did not think Bradley Cooper was a great performance.
I don't either.
I love Bradley Cooper. I did. We knew going in to this year, we talked about this a lot on the show, the most stacked, competitive, difficult category this year was going to be Best Lead Actor. This was going to be a year where there was going to be worthy performances that were just going to get left off simply because of the numbers. I'm surprised about which ones got left off. No, David Oyelowo. I thought, I'll get to David in a second. No Jake Gyllenhaal for Nightcrawler. With David, this is the reason why I'm tempted to call the David one a snub. Because I believe, like I think most people, this is a 2-horse race between Michael Keaton and Eddie Redmayne. I think it's a 2-horse race. Probably Michael over Eddie, but I think it's a 2-horse race. If I had to say who a third outside shot dark horse would have been, I would have said David. I really thought he had a shot at this. The performance is insanely good. I don't think there's a big chance he was going to win. Once again, I think it's going to be either Keaton or Redmayne. But those 2 names missing are... We knew there were going to be great names left out, but Bradley Cooper instead of those 2?
Definitely.
So I don't know. Let's start with you this time, Alicia. Do you like the list? If not, who would you have replaced?
I would have taken out Bradley Cooper because although he is excellent in American Sniper, and this means he has his 3rd consecutive Oscar nomination,
Right.
he's not nearly as good as David Oyelowo. He is incredible in Selma, and he really deserved recognition for his performance. I don't think that he was left out because of any race issues, but it is so noticeable that without him involved, it's just all white this year. It's crazy. But his talent absolutely deserved to be recognized. Also, I was surprised by Steve Carell because I was always thinking that they would push that for a supporting actor nomination and not a best lead actor. So I would have taken out Bradley and put in David.
Let's go over to the other end. Schnepp.
Yeah, I'm very shocked that Jake Gyllenhaal didn't get a nomination.
I loved his performance.
And I'm also
Great.
I'm disappointed. I know it wasn't in anybody's list. Everybody was J.K. Simmons, this and that, which of course he deserved. Miles Teller is the other part of Whiplash, and I thought he did an incredible
so
job.
underrated, his job.
Yeah, I
in
think
that.
it's super underrated, and he was both of them, toe to toe. It makes that movie what it is, and it's an incredibly gripping, amazing film. It's really incredibly well directed. So, that's really to me. And then also to bring up the Selma thing, we're going to get more into it, but. It's just barely come out, and they didn't get that shipped out to, so Academy members didn't even get to see it in time, really, to make proper voting decisions.
Yeah.
I don't think it got the fair shake. They should have just made it a 2015 movie and trying to cram it into 2014, an already crowded Oscar race. So that's how I
Yeah,
feel
definitely.
about it.
Amy Rose?
And we knew it was going to be that way because at AFI they were supposed to just show 30 minutes, but they actually showed the rough cut of the film. So the whole process was really rushed, and it was a real disservice to this incredible. I've not been that inspired by a film in years. I loved that movie. I definitely did not see Steve Carell coming. He was part of early conversation, but then in recent months, it would have been supporting, or he wasn't even in. Bradley Cooper came out of nowhere. I expected Best Picture for that, but again, it wasn't even my favorite Bradley Cooper performance. Jake Gyllenhaal, to me, that is a snub. He had the most incredible transformation of any actor, even David, who I thought was probably my second favorite performance of the year. He literally, the look, the eyes, he transformed. It was magnetic. It was terrifying. It was a beautiful performance. So I'm pissed. But the rest of them, they're all pretty. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch is always good, but that was a far less challenging role than some of these other ones. Even Michael Keaton. I mean, he was playing several different characters, really. So yeah, Eddie Redmayne and Keaton are the front runners. I agree. It's a two-horse race at this point.
Christian?
There are 4 people right now, as it stands, actors and actresses, that if you put them in anything close to an Oscar type of movie, they're going to get nominated. One of them is Meryl Streep, Marion Cotillard, Jennifer Lawrence, although she's not in anything right now that was Oscar-worthy, and Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper does not deserve to be nominated for Best Actor. He was great. He was great in American Sniper, but not better than these guys and not better than the guys we're talking about.
I don't know that I would have had him on my top 10 list.
I agree with you, and you and I had this conversation, John, a couple days ago of 4 locks that we thought were going to be definite, and we said Eddie Redmayne, Benedict Cumberbatch, Michael Keaton, and then we said David Oyelowo.
Yep.
Those were our 4 guys. And then we said, for me, I thought Carell might sneak in. And then I thought, but I would like to see Gyllenhaal, because what Gyllenhaal did, he disappears.
Completely.
You look
You
at
don't
him,
see Gyllenhaal.
that's not him.
Yeah.
You look at David Oyelowo, that's Martin Luther King Jr. You look at Bradley Cooper, that's Bradley Cooper doing a great Texas accent, and he beefed up for the role. He's good in the role, but he's Bradley Cooper. Just you can say the same
And
thing.
we don't
about
want
other
to come across as if any of us are
I'm
slamming
not.
the performance.
Not
we think
at
he's
all.
really
No,
good.
He
in
was
it.
really good
Yeah.
in the movie.
Not as good as Jake Gyllenhaal.
No, and by the way, American Sniper, the best part about American Sniper is Bradley Cooper.
Exactly.
What he brings to the role.
Yeah.
He's great in the movie, but just not better than these dudes.
Dennis?
Yeah, I was a little stunned about Jake Gyllenhaal and David Oyelowo not making it. I wish I had seen American Sniper instead of Unbroken, so I could.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons you wish you saw American Sniper over Unbroken.
You know what? I did not hate Unbroken as much, maybe because my
I
expectations
didn't
were
hate it
lower
either.
than others
like it.
people. But I wish I could have seen it for this conversation, so I can include it and tell you. But I didn't see the performance, so I have to discard that one. But I agree, Steve Carell, while really good in Foxcatcher, that was a supporting.
Not almost,
actor.
it was.
Yeah, that was a supporting actor
Yeah.
role, and I definitely would have put either 2 of those in there. And then if maybe I see American Sniper, I could say that about Bradley Cooper's as well.
All right, so starting at Schnepp, working your way down this way. Who should win? Who will win?
Michael Keaton.
Both? Okay. Dennis?
Michael Keaton for both.
Should Eddie Redmayne, Will Keaton?
I think should Eddie Redmayne win, will Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I think should Michael Keaton, will Eddie Redmayne.
Wow.
And I'm going to console my future husband, Jake Gyllenhaal. if he'd
And
like me to.
I will also go with both should and will with Michael Keaton. And fact checker Ray.
I got the answer for you.
Okay, that other question.
The African Queen.
The African
yes.
Queen was nominated for.
Nominated for Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, and Best Screenplay, but no Best Picture.
So the African Queen was nominated for Best Director, Actress, Actor, Screenplay, but not for Best Picture.
Wow.
So it has happened in history before.
Once.
Very rare, though.
How long ago was that?
Yeah, when was the African?
1951.
Exactly.
1951. It happens very rare. All right, let's move. With that
John,
was
John
Audrey
Huston,
Hepburn
right?
film.
John Huston directed it, right?
Classic.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move on now
Love the
to the Best Actress in a leading category. In a leading role. In a leading role, we have Marion Cotillard for 2 Days, One Night, Felicity Jones for The Theory of Everything, Julianne Moore for Still Alice, Rosamund Pike for Gone Girl, and Reese Witherspoon for Wild. Christian, my name's just going all over the place today. Christian, let's start with you on this one. Any surprises on this category for you?
Well, I love the Olive Garden. Oh wait, sorry. For me, the surprise for me is Marion Cotillard. I love her. She's one of my. If my wife and I had an agreement, which we don't, of the one celebrity, she would be it. But I haven't seen the movie, so I can't judge on it. But she always seems to get nominated every time she does stuff. But she's another one like Bradley Cooper. Wait, she wasn't in the talk. Jennifer Aniston got robbed because Jennifer Aniston they're still judging her off The Bounty Hunter. That's what they're doing because you ever said
or any other thing she's ever
That's
done.
why, but that's that.
The
that,
Good Girl
but that's
she was
the thing.
good in.
She was good. She put out so many movies to where
She
she's
was,
tried to do
actually,
some
yeah.
stuff. But this movie was the best performance of her career. She literally she gets down. She really strips herself of. Of the image that you have of her, that's gone. She's so
girl.
great in that movie. But everyone else that's on that, well deserved.
What was it called? The movie was called Cake, right?
Yeah.
I can only say that it
was
barely got any distribution.
Amazing. It's just releasing now as well. And another disservice, like she was raw. Like we were saying with Bradley Cooper, I feel that way about Jennifer Aniston. Not in this role. She lost herself in it. She went for it. And I have chills. That performance was powerful. It was probably Rosamund Pike, really happy she was recognized. I didn't know if she would be because it's a really dark premise, and some of these films, don't acknowledge that. I also think that's why I wasn't nominated for Best Picture and Nightcrawler as well. But I'm really happy about Reese Witherspoon in Wild, another performance where she got raw. I always kind of see this like happy, lovely woman, and that she lost herself. And Alicia and I have read that book, and we never pictured Reese for it, and she killed it. So she proved me wrong. But Julianne Moore, it's her year. Give her a freaking Oscar already. She's up there with Meryl Streep, and she can do anything and loses herself in it. And still, Alice is a really different take on the disease deteriorating not just your life but your family. So it's powerful. I want her to win.
One thing is with Schnepp, as far as the distribution of that particular movie, the one thing is, everyone gets screeners that is voting for the Academy. Cake went out pretty early as far as a screener. Selma did not. Nobody. There were no screeners.
Yeah.
I'm going to pretty much agree with everything you guys have said so far. My one big thing here would be I would replace Cotillard, who was, as she always is, very, very good, and replace her with Aniston. I don't feel that same sense of being robbed, though, because of what I went back to before. There was no way even Aniston was going to be in my top three. She had no shot at winning this thing whatsoever. So I don't feel like she was robbed,
But you know
per se.
what, John, as far as being robbed, because what we just talked about, her career, she hasn't had those. By a recognition of Oscar-nominated actress,
Huge.
that helps so much. So that's why I think it was robbed, because you're taking that away from her, because she deserved it. She put it in, you're right, she wouldn't have won. No one's beating Julianne Moore, but by saying now she's an Oscar-nominated actress, that carries a lot of weight.
For the
that on
rest
the
of your
poster
life,
or
you'll
the
literally
trailer.
have
Yeah.
Oscar-nominated Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even I get your whole logic with if they're not
Yeah.
going to win, but to them and to the power behind the work, it matters.
I know.
Dennis?
Sorry.
Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't see Still Alice, but everyone's talking about Julianne Moore's performance and that she's gonna win. I guess out of that list, I would have Rosamund Pike as my favorite. I like I think. That movie in general is just getting snubbed because of the subject matter. And so people are just kind of, we'll talk about it in other categories as well, that just kind of got overlooked.
Schnepp?
Yeah, I was really happy that Rosamund Pike got nominated. And yeah, it's the only nomination for Gone Girl. So, and I thought her performance in that film was stunning and incredible. And I remember after seeing it, I was like, she's going to get nominated for an Oscar. That's what I said to Holly, and so I'm happy I was right about that. But the the most shocking one for me was Reese Witherspoon, because for many years, ever since Freeway, I saw this an election. I saw this incredibly talented actress take worse and worse and worse roles. And
Walk the Line?
Until she won her Academy Award for Walk the Line.
But there's a couple, and then there's like more. Overall, she won that. That was like 9 years ago or something. Walk the Line. I'm just saying, it's
Maybe
like
eight's close, yeah.
a lot of the films that she's been in just have not interested me, and I thought she's kind of sleepwalks through roles. At least that's how I perceive her. And then I saw Wild, and it just blew me away.
Amazing.
It's an incredible film, and her performance in it is the thing that makes that film incredible. It's also really well directed and well made, well shot, well written. But her performance in it was emotionally moving to me, and I was just shocked. So even though I want Rosamund Pike to win, I think Reese Witherspoon should win. But I'm also with Dennis. I didn't see the Julianne Moore movie yet, so.
Okay, let's go over to you, Alicia.
I was just going to say, I loved Reese Witherspoon in Wild, and as you said, she was so good because she has to carry that movie. A lot of the movie is just her hiking by herself, so she did a really good job. Julianne Moore, it's her 5th nomination. Hopefully it'll be her first time winning. She really deserves it for Still Alice. Just a heartbreaking role. Almost made me cry, but I never cry in movies, so I didn't quite get
I was
there.
there.
As I say, I'm dead inside. I am a robot. Marion was the surprise because she hasn't been talked about at all. They haven't done a huge Oscar campaign for her, so she came out of left field. And I was really sad not to see Jennifer Aniston in there because she is fantastic in Cake.
She went for it.
She really surprised me.
All right, well then let's start with you and work our way down this way. Should win, will win.
Should win, Julianne Moore. Will win, Julianne Moore.
should Julianne Moore, would same thing.
Yeah, will Julianne Moore. Although I do believe, I think it's a 2-horse race. If anybody has a shot at winning it, it would be Rosamund Pike, I think. But this is Julianne Moore's year, and deservedly so, by the way.
Push around more.
Dennis.
Well, I'm going to say will win is Julianne Moore, but since I didn't see the performance, I'm going to say should win because that's based off of other people's opinions. So out of the ones I saw, I would say Rosamund Pike.
Yeah, with Dennis, because I didn't see the Julianne Moore movie. Rosamund Pike and Reese, I'm going to go with Reese Witherspoon.
All right, let's move on now to Best Actor in a Supporting Role. The nominees are Robert Duvall for The Judge, Ethan Hawke for Boyhood, Edward Norton for Birdman, Mark Ruffalo for Foxcatcher, and J.K. Simmons for Whiplash. I'm going to say right up front, I was so happy, so very, very happy to see Robert Duvall get nominated for this because it was a mediocre movie. It was okay. It was an okay movie, but I walked out. The big impression on me out of that film was the performance of Robert Duvall. I thought his performance was incredible. I'll go as far as to say, I think it, for me and my money, it might be my favorite performance he's ever given.
Wow.
I really loved him in that movie. He completely carried that film for me. No shot. But
Film
I'm
that fell flat?
so happy to see that he got recognized for it. So I was really happy about that. Anyway, Schnepp, what about you about this category? Any surprises? What stands out to you?
Surprise for me was Ruffalo. I mean, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Remember, I was like, of all the people in Foxcatcher, to me, I thought Ruffalo was the best actor for me out of that film. So I was very happy to see him get a nomination and a tip of the hat. So I think Norton, to me personally, I'd like to see Edward Norton win. It's between him and J.K. Simmons. I just think in the supporting actor role, I mean, wow, it's really difficult because I think J.K. Simmons had way more screen time than Edward Norton, I mean, Birdman is more of an ensemble piece. Whiplash is literally two people tearing each other apart. So it's a really hard decision for me. But between those two people, I found Edward Norton's take on the character the most refreshing that I've seen Edward Norton in many years. It was like Norton from Fight Club. He's getting back to the reason we all like Edward Norton as an actor. With J.K. Simmons, is just this raw creature, like unleashed hatred. So it's like, and I had a teacher like him, so I actually really hate him. I don't want to see that teacher win, even though it's J.K. Simmons. Now I see it as this person. So sorry, J.K.
Dennis, any surprises?
No surprises. J.K. Simmons, I think, is as close a lock as Julianne Moore is for Still Alice. I really like Edward Norton's performance, but I think the Academy is not going to vote for him because his character is, I guess, similar to who he is in real life, and they're going to skip
Aren't
over
they all?
Maybe, but this one is very specific. I remember watching an interview with Inarritu, and he talked about how during one of the scenes, his intro scene, how Edward Norton actually kind of did what his character did, but he was doing it behind the scenes.
Funny.
So, but yeah, J.K. Simmons is going to take it.
Amy Rose?
Yeah, I agree. If there was a lock, JK is a lock, and he deserves it. Not quite my tempo. Not my tempo. It's so good. It's a performance vehicle. Everything about it. I'm so excited to see more from this director, which we'll get into later. But yeah, not surprised. Birdman was an ensemble piece. Every single person from Galifianakis to, the female Naomi Watts, everyone was amazing.
Naomi Watts was so good in this
They
movie.
all were. So it was really an ensemble piece. Emma Stone, fantastic. So I'm really happy. Edward Norton has always been one of my favorite actors. He did the Reese Witherspoon treatment and had all these weird films going on. I went back to the American History X's and the Fight Clubs and those films. So really happy that he got a good role. But yeah, to me, JK is pretty much a slam dunk in this. The rest, I agree with you about Duvall. I did not like The Judge. I had high hopes for the star power of that cast. And, I love courtroom dramas. I totally dig them. Duvall was great, but the film was flat. So to shine in a bad film even speaks volumes about your talent. So I thought he was great. I'm glad to see it. And Ethan Hawke.
Oh yeah,
so great.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke. It was nice.
So
I
delightful.
agree with Schnapp. It's nice to see Ruffalo mentioned in here
Yeah,
too, because
I
in
agree.
all the talk about, there's been so much talk about Channing Tatum, not necessarily awards talk, but all the talk about Channing. Obviously, the awards talk and everything on Steve Carell and all that kind of stuff. That Ruffalo has kind of sunk to the bottom, into the shadows in the conversation, but his performance is incredible. It's nice, and I pointed this out on AMC Movie Talk, but we've got the two most recent Incredible Hulks fighting it out here. We got Edward Norton, we got Mark Ruffalo going out. But yeah, if I will,
And J. Jonah Jameson.
yes,
Yeah, right.
and in all of this stuff here, in everything here, all of the categories, I am only comfortable saying there's one lock, and I think that's J.K. Simmons. That's
too.
one for me. Anyway, what do you think, Alicia, about the category?
No surprises with this category. It was pretty much as everyone expected. I like how 9 out of the 20 acting nominees are first-timers, and also 9 out of the 20 are real-life people that they're playing. The exception to the rule, of course, is Robert Duvall, who won an Oscar for Tender Mercies, which is a great performance as well, obviously. He won't win for this, but I like that he's nominated. I agree with you guys, the judge. I think it was always meant to be a middle-of-the-road movie, and then they started pushing it as an Oscar-type film, and it was just never that. It was very mediocre, but Robert Duvall was incredible, and now he's the oldest ever Best Supporting Actor nominee at 84.
I love
Well
that.
deserved.
Bob. I
And he's got more in him.
Toronto.
He's got more in him.
Yeah.
Well,
Christian.
I think that was what it was as far as why they pushed it, because they probably felt the energy of what Duvall brought on. You know, they said, whoa, wait a minute, this could be something, but it was him. It really was him. When
Yep.
you watch,
And Iron Man.
but when you watch that movie, you are waiting for him to come back on screen
Yeah.
because he is the most
True.
interesting thing in the entire movie. So I like his nomination. I of course would have, and even though I know that the argument is that he probably would have been pushed for Best Actor, but I'm waiting for the day when Andy Serkis gets nominated. That was what they were pushing him for. It didn't happen. But in that category, I agree with everyone. I think J.K. Simmons is way more of a lock than Julianne Moore, because this, to me, if you take out J.K. Simmons, you don't know who could win out of the 4 of those guys. Like it's
Yeah.
a battle back and forth. J.K. Simmons wins hands down.
Okay, well, let's sum that up then. We'll start here again. Should win, will win.
Should win, JK, will win, JK.
Same.
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 Same with the caveat that Edward Norton, I think, should get more credit than he deserves.
Same.
Yeah, I'm going to ditto what Dennis said. Yo, Edward Norton, but JK's got it.
All right, we move on to the next category, and that is Best Actress in a Supporting Role. And the nominees are Patricia Arquette for Boyhood, Laura Dern for Wild, Keira Knightley for The Imitation Game, Emma Stone, Birdman, Meryl Streep, Into the Woods. I don't have any surprises on this list. And I'm going to be the only person on this entire panel that says I actually think Meryl Streep actually deserved the nomination for this. Everybody thinks, yeah, she's great, but she's Meryl Streep, so that's why she gets it. You know, I watched Into the Woods again, and kind of like the judge, although I liked it more than I liked the judge.
Good.
Not a great film, I don't think, but I thought she owned the screen every second she's on it. I thought her performance was incredible. She's not going to win, nor should she win, but I believe she earned this nomination. I'm going to be the lone voice that says that on this panel, by the way. So, Christian, let's go to any surprises about who is or who should have been on that list?
Not really. I mean, just like, I'm on the opposite page. She was nominated because she's the Streep acting monster. That's why it's like, Streep, look out, here she comes. I could have done without her being nominated, and there's no disrespect to her. She's one of the best actors of all time.
Right.
But they want her to break the record eventually. They want her to break the record as far as wins. Will she do it here? No. But Keira Knightley deserves a lot of respect, too. Not only because she's so good in the movie, because if you compare, she's the only one in that cast. You compare pictures, she looks nothing like that lady. That lady was nothing of Keira Knightley caliber, I'll tell you that. But overall, the winner of that. You know what? It was, from Wild was Laura Dern.
Laura Dern.
Getting nominated was great because
It's
no
like
one heard.
another Mark Ruffalo situation.
Yes.
I thought she's going to get overshadowed by Reese.
and
It's
she
nice to
didn't.
see her get
And
recognized.
She didn't, but I think Patricia Arquette takes it because she's that movie and what Patricia Arquette did, and over the, I know some people are like, oh, she just showed up a couple days every year, and but you have to really, that's been a lot of the argument is that, but for me, I don't agree with that. I think that she honed into it. She really, you believe that she was a mom of these kids every single time, and you watch her develop. That movie captures life, and her life was a big part of it to see what she did and how she mothered those kids.
Oh, yeah.
Alicia?
Yeah, I was happy to see Laura Dern in there, and Patricia Arquette, I think she deserves to win because she's the heart of the movie. She carries that film emotionally right towards the end. I would have preferred to see Jessica Chastain from A Most Violent Year over Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep is amazing. Everything she does is incredible. This is her 19th Oscar nomination. And as you mentioned, if she did win, which she won't, she'll have beaten Katharine Hepburn for the most Oscar wins ever. But for Into the Woods, I don't think so. I don't think it's her strongest performance, and I think there's other actresses out there that deserved it over her. But yeah, I'm just really hoping for Patricia Arquette, and I'm glad to see Keira Knightley in there as well.
Get to the wood.
Amy Rose?
Do you think that they're like, oh, Meryl Streep has a movie? Just get her in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I actually agree. Like, I grew up on Into the Woods. I love the music of Stephen Sondheim. So to me, I got that. To people who don't know the musical, they probably were like, what is this? But like, I knew what I was in for. And she can sing and perform. And I actually thought it was a strong performance, but I agree. I rather Chastain. I mean, I'll go into a most violent era another time. But yeah, it was great. And not too many surprises. Keira Knightley, I'm glad she was nominated because I feel like she's not getting enough recognition either. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch is a force in that film, and she really is his equal in it. And it's also a great role because it's not what you think. It's not a throwaway female character. Like, she really helped everything with the Enigma Code. It's fascinating. But yeah, I'm glad Laura Dern also, because that, as you could say with Patricia Arquette, she was the heart of that movie because that is why everything happened. That is literally, and so if you didn't feel, this connection to her character, it wouldn't have worked so well. So I thought she was great. But yeah, Patricia Arquette, I mean, you can just see their interactions with Linklater and Eller and all of them. Like, she is the mother of that group. They have become a family, and it's special, and it's about motherhood, and I don't even have children, and I connected with that. So yeah, I think she's also as close to a lock as it gets in this category.
Dennis?
Yeah, the Meryl Streep thing, I guess it's not surprising because we know that they nominated her for everything, but for Into the Woods, I thought was a bit excessive. Some other actresses that could have done, Naomi Watts from Birdman could have been in there. Is Renee Russo on there?
No.
No,
That's
Renee
not what
Russo was
people were talking about,
fantastic in Nightcrawler. I would have given it to either one of them over Meryl Streep, not because
She really
Meryl
was.
Streep isn't amazing, but not in that role.
Schnapp?
All right,
Russo.
keep stealing my lines. I was going to say Renee Russo but I think Renee would have been nominated before Laura Dern.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I love
what-
Laura Dern, but she was literally in 4 short sequences playing a happy mom. It wasn't a stretch for her, whereas in Russo really was a very big part of Nightcrawler and took the reins of this like strong woman role. So I thought that was a little weird. And I'll bring up, I'd say Emily Blunt for Edge of Tomorrow. I know most of the Academy never recognizes anything that's fantasy or genre related, so we never would even deign to talk about like, well, how come X-Men didn't get nominated, because it's like it's almost not perceived as a real film, though I differ. So I sometimes get a little irked that why do we always have to talk about all these biopics? That's really all it seems to be for Oscars. We can't really talk about all these other movies that are equally just as good but just in different genres. So that's it for me. But yeah, Laura Dern, Renee Russo, I would have swapped those two out.
Forget the Academy recognizing that. I wish just more people would see Edge of Tomorrow.
Well, I mean, that's their own fault. That's the
Yeah.
studio's own fault.
so
But
good.
Shep, you would have kept in Streep.
Yeah, you know
Really?
what? I would have, because though I did not personally love the movie, I didn't see it on Broadway, and we talked about this a lot. We all a lot of us here think it should have just ended when it's like, hey, we're all singing a song and we're at the Magic Kingdom credits, and I've been like, okay, I didn't hate it. And then Giant came along, an extra 30 minutes. I'm like, get me out of here. That's just
And
me.
then it gets all dark,
That's not just you.
grim.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
Not
get to the woods, whatever. She did a great job. Meryl Streep is, she's I don't even know if she's human.
Institution.
She's like this
Yeah.
amazing creature that can just be like the best actress in the world. So
She is.
All right, we'll start with you, Schnapp. Should win, will win.
I would love to see Patricia Arquette win. I mean, I loved Boyhood. I thought she was such a grounding force in that film. So I'll say she'll win.
And that's your
And
should win?
yeah.
Dennis, should win, will win.
Same thing.
Same.
Same.
Same, but I wouldn't be surprised if Keira Knightley upset by a miracle. But I say
I'd be surprised.
but I say Arquette would and should.
Yeah, same. Patricia all the way.
All right, now let's move on to the next category we got here. We've touched on this a little bit already, but since Lego isn't there, we should probably talk about the category as it is, and that is Best Animated Picture. The films that are nominated for Best Animated Picture are Big Hero 6, The Box Trolls, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Song of the Sea, and The Tale of Princess Kaguya. I think these are all really good animated films. I only finally saw Song of the Sea just recently. They're all great films. I'm so pleased for the success of The Box Trolls. We all know the Lego Movie should be there. So, I was surprised by how much I loved How to Train Your Dragon 2. Like that, it's one of those films that probably exceeds the original. A different opinion on that. I loved Big Hero 6. I think I saw it in theater like 4 times. I just love that film. So there's a lot of good stuff here. Other than the Lego thing, no surprises. No surprises. I'm not surprised that Book of Life isn't there, nor should it be there. So really not a lot of surprises here other than the Lego thing. Christian?
Well, I heard that the Princess of Kaguya is now going to get a live-action version, and Scarlett Johansson is going to play
Every role.
Everything.
No, we talked about it a lot, and I think that what it is that
Yes, we have a phone going.
Sorry.
Haul off.
Yeah, my fault. What I would say is we talked about Lego for sure, but How to Train Your Dragon 2 for me was my favorite animation of the year, and I was glad to see it win the Golden Globe. So it is happy, if anybody's happy, that Lego got knocked out. It's How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Yeah, Amy Rose?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Lego, everything's just one step below it, in my opinion, now. But these are great. How to Train Your Dragon did surpass my expectations as well. I went going, okay, it's gonna be cute, but it was much more than that. It was packed with a lot. I loved Big Hero 6 as well. Yeah, some good ones. I didn't see Song of the Sea, so I don't really know what to think about that one. But you picked that over my Lego, so I don't know about that. But yeah,
Lego my Lego.
no big surprises other than Lego.
Dennis?
I'm the opposite of you guys, and probably the majority of the audience, where I liked How to Train the Dragon 2 and the first one as well, but it's one of those franchises that didn't get me like it got everyone else. So when I watch it, I enjoy it, and then I forget about it. So for me, it's all about Big Hero 6 now that Lego is not in contention. I think Big Hero 6, it was really enjoyable. I think I saw it 2 or 3 times in the theater.
You know what's funny? Two of the two biggest films left here were Big Hero 6 and How to Train Your Dragon 2. I think they both suffer from the same one problem, which is a rather flat and weak villain, which is kind of the one thing missing out there. Anyway, Schnepp, how do you see this category?
Yeah, that without Lego, it's not really a race. Really, I mean, I guess it's a race between Big Hero and Dragon, but I would pick Big Hero, especially the thing you just brought up. But they didn't have villains really. It was more about the team or the with the Dragon film. I was also not that into the second film. I thought, aside from just having this big kind of ice creature and a weird dude who's inside of it, them fighting, I just wasn't drawn into like the finding your mom and then a whole sea world of dragons and stuff. For some reason, it didn't grab me like Big Hero 6. So I would go with Big Hero.
Alicia?
Yeah, I need to see Song of the Sea and Princess Kaguya. I haven't seen those two, and now I really want to check them out so that I can kind of have fun with predicting who will win this category
Movie
now
day.
that Lego is out of it.
Can I
Yeah,
also
movie
add
night.
that I didn't see Song of the Sea? I kept thinking, why is Disney re-releasing? You know what I mean? 'Cause it sounds so much like Song of the South. I was like, that's
Yeah, that's
crazy,
right. But-
especially with this Selma controversy. But yeah, and I didn't see the other one either. So that's the other thing. I didn't see 2 of the films.
Yeah, but I really excited about Box Trolls and Big Hero 6 and How to Train Your Dragon 2. Out of those ones, I'd probably want How to Train Your Dragon 2 to win. That was one of my favorites.
All right, well then we'll just pretend we started.
Yes.
Christian, you should win, will win.
Should win Lego Movie. Will win.
Come on, with the category.
Should win at this point How to Train Your Dragon 2, and will win How to Train Your Dragon 2.
I'm going to say should win Big Hero 6, will win The Tale of Princess Kaguya.
Wow. Should win How to Train Your Dragon 2. I do think that's probably not a bad guess. I do think that could happen. I'm going to stick with Dragon for this sake.
Dennis?
Should win Big Hero 6, will win How to Train Dragon 2.
Should win and will win Big Hero 6.
All right, let's move on now to the one Amy Rose has been waiting for, Best Director. And we have nominated from Birdman, Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu. From Boyhood, Richard Linklater. I've always called him Linklater. And then watching the nominees, I heard them say Linklater.
You're like, oh.
I'll link you later.
Yeah.
I've sat down and talked with Richard on several occasions, and he's never corrected
Really?
me.
That's
But
how
apparently,
nice he is.
that's
so
how
nice.
nice
He's a
he is.
phone app. Linklater.
From Foxcatcher, Bennett Miller. From the Grand Budapest Hotel, Wes Anderson. And from the Imitation Game, Morton Tildum.
Good job.
I honestly am a little surprised, not because I thought he should be, but I really did think Clint Eastwood was going to be on this list. If for no other reason, is just because he's Hollywood royalty, and this is his first decent film in a long time. He's put out a couple of bad films in a row. I think people are really happy that they go to, but I wouldn't have put him on this list. I'm glad he's not there. I am a little bit surprised. The one name, once I don't think would have won. I wouldn't have put her in my top 2, but. I keep
DuVernay.
Yeah, I keep forgetting how to pronounce her last name. DuVernay. I think there could have been room on this list for Duvernay. Wouldn't have been in my number 1 spot, wouldn't have been in my number 2 spot, and I'm not sure who I would have bumped out of this for them, except for maybe Tildum. Could have been bumped, but that's really the only one out of the 5 nominees. I think maybe one could have been bumped out, one could have been put in, but that's the extent of my surprise.
Say that for Bennett Miller too,
Yeah,
though.
that's right.
Yeah.
Because I really liked the performance. I'm just going to take this since I'm
Go
so
ahead,
excited
go
about
for
it.
it.
I really thought, that was a performance vehicle, and, it was a slow burn. We all know where it was going. It's a true story. I thought it was good, but I didn't find the film as memorable as a lot of people did. But the performances blew me away. Then you contrast that to Whiplash, where it's a performance vehicle and an incredible piece of cinema. Damien Chazelle, writer-director, getting up close, getting that intensity building, making it really feel like you're part of this experience. That is a good direction. So I thought The Imitation Game was good, but I visually, it was a period piece that didn't really pop out to me that much, But the other ones, I feel like Richard Linklater, come on, what he did. Can you imagine pitching that idea? So I'm going to shoot this, every day, 12 years, this amount of time,
Imagine
whatever.
pitching that to
That's
the
insane.
talent.
I know.
Forget the studio, pitching that to the talent.
Yeah, and Wes Anderson, I've said it, I'm just so thrilled. He is a visionary. His whimsical style, people try to mimic it and they'll never touch it. And the Grand Budapest Hotel was his most, unique work for his style, because he's pushing himself, and it was dark, and it was also funny, and just the sensibilities and the characters. Some of those characters are the best characters in any film anywhere. They're so memorable. So I'm so excited. This is his first directorial nomination. How is that even possible? So I'm happy about this, and Inner 2, just the experience, that meta. Just everything about it is it's incredible. So not too many surprises, but Ava DuVernay, she should be on that list. Yeah. But for Morton, she really should. That's a snub to me.
Christian?
Yeah, I would take out Bennett Miller and Tildum, and I put DuVernay and I put Fincher in there. Those are the two that I think David.
Yeah, the Fincher for Gone Girl.
I think what David Fincher did with Gone Girl, regardless of what you think of the ending, that movie in general was an accomplishment in directing. And to speak on Linklater, what he did, and you're right, to be able to pitch that to actors, it shows you the trust that they have him as a director. And that is, it's not just a gimmick, those 12 years, to be able to film actors and craft a story for 12 years in time.
Can't imagine.
That's ambitious. That is a filmmaker who trusts his own stuff, who trusts his creativity, who trusts his actors' creativity, and trusts his team's creativity. So the list, I think the list is great, but I'd like to see those two people put in there.
And Nolan even.
I think there's an
for the ambition.
But
of
because
it.
because we've made this argument before about Christopher Nolan going. I'm not surprised he's not on here. I'm not even bothered that he's not on here. However, I think there's a conversation to be had about him being on here, simply because I've been on record saying before that I did not love Interstellar, but I also think in the hands of almost any other director that movie would have sucked, and that says something about the level of director that Christopher Nolan is. So I wouldn't have complained had Nolan been down there. I wouldn't have put him there myself. Anyway, Dennis, any surprises for you on the best director list?
I definitely would have put Ava DuVernay on there. Would have put Dan Gilroy for Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler, yeah.
David Fincher as well for Gone Girl. The weird thing is, not that I didn't like these movies, but with Foxcatcher and Imitation Game, they just didn't stand out for me. And especially when we talked about, for Foxcatcher and Bennett Miller, he gets a nomination for director, but the picture doesn't get nominated. I find that to be a little odd.
Or the flip-flop of Selma.
Yeah, exactly. So I would do that. For me, it's all about Inarritu. I think everything that movie hits on all cylinders, the cinematography, the acting, the script, everything falls into place. And that's the director's job, is to make sure all those things come together. And he was the visionary behind it. So for me, it's all about him.
Schnepp?
Yeah, definitely. Foxcatcher, it's really well directed. It establishes this kind of creepy, weird, oppressive tone throughout the whole film. Mm-hmm. But Whiplash is an astonishing piece of direction. It's exciting, it's visually unique, it's gripping. He knows when to pull back, when to focus in. It's a fantastic film, and it should have been nominated. I found that really upsetting. I'm glad Clint Eastwood wasn't nominated. I thought the American Sniper is mechanically directed. It's like he had some people set up a camera and went go took a nap. It was very...
They didn't nominate him because of Jersey Boys.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying it's disappointing. So I didn't expect American Sniper to get half as many nominations as it got, because it was just really kind of is a middle ground film. It's not an Oscar film.
Yeah.
Alicia?
We were talking about African Queen before. It's also the first time since the Big Picture expanded to more than 5 nominees that a director's been nominated for Best Director and not for Best Picture. But I'm actually excited to have Bennett Miller involved because even though, I loved Foxcatcher, I agree that maybe it wasn't as memorable, but as far as directing is concerned, he gets those performances and he does it in a really unconventional way. Steve Carell was telling me that at one point he made him write down the worst secret about himself on a note and put it in his pocket as a way to feel ashamed. And he said to him, if you don't get a good performance, we'll make you read that out to everyone. It was not fun on that Foxcatcher set at all, but man, he got some brilliant performances.
I want to know the secret.
I think, he wouldn't tell me, Steve. He said he burnt it afterwards because he was so ashamed of it. It's a secret he's never told anyone in his life. So stuff like that. He does that kind of thing all the time and he gets results. So I was glad to see him there, even though he tortured his actors. But Ava DuVernay, it's nothing to do with race. It's nothing to do with gender. Selma was a beautifully directed movie. It's so gorgeous to look at. It's brutal, it's heartbreaking, powerful, really inspiring, so well put together that she really deserved that spot, I would say, over Morton Tildum, because Imitation Game, although it has brilliant performances in it, it feels like a BBC TV movie, and I didn't feel his style. I don't know what his style is.
I agree. In fact, I think Unbroken of the World War II movies was better directed by Angelina Jolie.
You
to be
felt
honest
what she was trying to do. Yeah.
See, I completely agree. If it were up to me, that's the one. Morton's the one I would have dropped off, put Ava in. I actually really do like, even though Foxcatcher's not nominated for Best Picture, I really do like that Bennett Miller's in there because for me, I usually say this: the number one responsibility of a director is first and foremost get the best performances possible out of the actors working with you. You've got Channing Tatum giving the performance of his career, Steve Carell, nomination for Best Picture, and Ruffalo, who's getting nominated here for Best Supporting Actor. What more can you ask from a director? So I'm glad to see them up there. All right, so Schnepp, let's start with you. Should win, will win.
Let's see. Should win is Birdman, and will win is Birdman. Inarritu.
Dennis?
Should win, Birdman, Inarritu. Will win, I'd probably say Linklater.
Amy Rose?
I think should and will is Linklater. Even if people don't love the film as much, the director is who made this happen. He's the orchestrator. He should be acknowledged.
I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt should win is Alejandro. I think she should win this for Birdman, but I think Linklater will win. I think he's got the momentum right now. Christian?
It's funny, I'm on the opposite. I should win, I think, is Linklater, and will win, I think, is Inarritu.
And I'm on your side, John. Should win, Alejandro. Birdman, incredible. My favorite movie last year. Will win, Linklater. And I won't be sad about that. They're both incredible movies.
No, they're both like neck and neck, so I wouldn't be bummed
Very
out at either
different.
one.
It's going to go to either one. Either one of them won't be
12
surprised.
years?
Yeah.
Wow, it might not
It's
be
going to
the favorite
begin with a
movie.
B. That's my prediction.
The winner his movie will start with B. Okay, we got 3 more categories to cover. We're not obviously going to be able to cover all the categories, unfortunately.
You don't want to get into sound editing?
sound mix and stuff like that. That deserves attention.
The
Absolutely.
Hobbits.
But we're
That's
running
the
out of
only
time.
one
Yeah.
we got nominated for.
Probably won't go over music.
He doesn't
We don't
like
have
that
time.
category.
Well, I was just going to say the snub would be
No.
would be
Oh,
Trent
no,
Reznor.
I don't like that
And,
song.
Yes,
but
Trent
I like
Reznor.
that. I like
Okay.
music.
That is a
scores,
snub.
Great. All right, we're going to go on. We got 3 categories left. We're going to start with Best Visual Effects. The nominees for Best Visual Effects are Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Guardians of the Galaxy, Interstellar, and X-Men: Days of Future Past. Alicia, let's start with you. Any surprises?
No real surprises. I'm glad that all these films got nominated. Interstellar looked incredible, especially on the big screen. And Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I mean, what they did with performance capture really pushed it forward. And, Andy Serkis didn't get nominated. And I know there's a lot of debate about the visual effects team versus the performance. I just hope if they win that they take Andy Serkis up there, or they thank him as well, because I think they went hand in hand.
We want him to go as an ape.
Yeah,
Yes.
You know what's funny? You know what I'm shocked they didn't get nominated, and is Transformers.
I knew you were going to, yeah.
I'm shocked.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't think the visual effects were that
Where's
great
my bar
in
of
it.
soap, Christian?
I listen. No one is sitting here saying that is a good movie or not something that I find on the bottom of my shoe, because it clearly is. But I'm talking about the visual effects. I mean, you have, let's call it what it is. I did think the effects were pretty good in that movie, but
Whoa.
am I upset that it's not in there? No. You're gonna think that I'm say like right off the bat. he's going to say Dawn of the Planet of the Apes for what they did and the fact that they took the performance capture and were able to get everything. That's all outside. That is all on location. That hadn't been done before. They got everything outside. But I think Interstellar was something that we have never seen. It was so spectacular the way it was shot, and like we were talking about the other day in IMAX, and it very similar to what Gravity did. Is you felt like you were in space. Whatever you want to say about the story and the complexity of it, that movie visually is something special.
See, I'm not surprised. I've had a lot of people emailing me today about surprised that Transformers wasn't nominated for. And yeah, there you
They're
go.
coming to get us.
Robots are angry.
And I don't care how bad a film is. If we're talking about a specific category, judge it on that category. Right. But the reason I'm not surprised Transformers, which I did vote as the worst film of the year, the reason I'm not surprised it didn't get is because even while watching it, I felt like there's a lot of visual effects in this thing. I'm not really sold. It's very bombastic with very little style. And I found there was a lot of times throughout the film that I thought, that didn't look right, that didn't look right, that didn't look right.
It's hard to follow as well. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah, and when you look at the visual effects in a movie like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes or X-Men Days of Future Past, I felt that all the effects served the movie. And I felt very few effects that were there for the sake of effects and everything. And that's what these categories should be about, is do they serve the movie? And so, I wouldn't have complained, because there's some groundbreaking stuff in Transformers 4. I wouldn't have complained if it was there, but I'm absolutely not shocked that it's not there. Anyway, Amy Rose, visual effects.
I'm with you, Christian, on Interstellar. Regardless of what people think about the film, the visuals evoked emotion in you. And it wouldn't have happened if you really didn't feel like you were in space. And then when he's watching that video and just everything about that experience, it was a true cinematic experience that should be seen on the biggest screen possible. So regardless of everything else, I think I'm really happy it's being acknowledged, even if it's not going to win. We all know X-Men's my heart. And I do think about the effects and just how far, Singer's earlier X-Men films to this one, and just the Sentinels and the time travel, and it was seamless. I wasn't like, oh, what is that? It was seamless. Even the end, the after credit scene, which was incredible, it's just seamless. So I think that was really, really good. And all of those on the category, they're really good special effects.
Schnepp?
Yeah, I mean, I think Beneath, or it was Dawn.
And Apes,
Dawn.
of course.
Dawn, yeah.
Dawn is my pick for best special effects. I remember asking you about the Uncanny. I couldn't remember. It's Uncanny Valley, where you're like, it's seamless, where you can't tell. A good special effect is when you can't tell you're seeing a special effect.
Exactly.
And for more than half of that movie, I really believed I was watching orangutans and monkeys and gibbons and all kinds of creatures that never existed, that were completely replaced by digital artists and actors. I mean, it's a fantastic world that we live in now, where we can have this amazing category filled with movies that, to me, were some of the more entertaining films that I almost think should be in the main category. You know what I mean? As opposed to some of the other masterpiece theater biography boring films. They're not all boring. I'm just saying, it's like, a lot of films that are like big crowd pleasers are relegated to like popcorn and special effects, wherein they're actually also telling cool humanistic stories, only with strange dudes with silver blades and flying powers, whatever. Beneath the Planet of the Apes is one of my favorites. So Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, or whatever this one is called. What's this one called again? Dawn of the Beneath, of the sequel of this new version.
Happy had it.
Edge of.
Yeah, I thought it was great. So that's the one I would hope wins the Oscars.
Dennis?
I'm with Schnepp. I think it's all about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It really makes you feel like there's an army of apes out there that the humans are fighting with. And I rewatched it again recently on Blu-ray, and it still holds up. I look at it and I'm like, wow, like I think they're there. I don't see Andy Serkis. I see Caesar. So as far as the rest of them, those are fine. Transformers, if it had been nominated, I would have been okay with it, though. I think they...
No more Transformers talk here.
It's the visual effects. We're talking about visual effects. We're not talking about...
I'm smoking a cigarette and I'm a robot, Dennis. Why are you angry at me while I step on a building? I'm stepping on 30 buildings
Jar
all
Jar
across
Binks
the world.
has entered the room.
I mean, anyone who saw my worst movies, they know that it was my worst movie of the year. However, for visual effects, it was pretty good, except for, I think, where they hurt themselves was the part where they...
advertisements?
No, when they did the transforming, where they got lazy at the end. They're like, oh, well, these guys transform, and they just they're just little blocks. They didn't even transform.
that looked terrible.
I was like,
You mean the Tron part where it's like, look, I've got some obvious CG in front of me. Yabba, yabba,
You mean the fifth hour of the movie?
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised to not see The Hobbit on there, though, because some of that CG was very questionable.
I would have been okay.
Smaug
like
was
Transformers for me,
amazing.
I would have been okay. but it wouldn't have been on my list.
No.
But I wouldn't have complained if it was there. Okay, let's go. Should win, will win. Schnepp,
Apes and apes.
Dennis,
Yep, apes and apes.
Amy Rose.
This one's kind of hard for me because Apes was really good. I don't really know what to think here. I will go will win Apes because it's just elevated it. I don't know. Can I have a pass?
Sure. Should
No.
win, will win. Absolutely, 100%. I have no doubt in my mind is Planet of the Apes. It's just if we're talking about the idea of it feeding into the movie and serving the movie and making the movie seamless, no film this year came close. I don't think.
I'm
hard.
as conflicted as Amy Rose, but I'm
Yeah.
going to say should win Interstellar, will win Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Alicia.
I'm going to actually go opposite with you, not just to be opposite to
Yes,
you.
you are.
but-
Just a little bit.
No, I think should win. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes will win. I'm just going to say Interstellar.
Wow.
Throw
All
it out
right.
there.
All right, we're going to do two more quick ones here. We're going to do the two screenplay categories, and we are over time, so we're going to try to go through this a little quickly. But we're going to start with Best Adapted Screenplay, and in the category of Best Adapted Screenplay, we have American Sniper, written by Jason Hall, The Imitation Game, written by Graham Moore, Inherent Vice, written by Paul Thomas Anderson, The Theory of Everything, written by Anthony McCartan, and Whiplash, written by Damien Chazelle. So, any surprises is on this list or is missing from this list? Christian, let's start with you.
I'm trying to think as far as I was going through those. The only one that I wish wasn't on the list was Inherent Vice. Was Grand Budapest on there? Or is that
That's in the
Grand
other
That's the only
Budapest
category.
is
That's the
yeah,
other
is an
category.
original.
No, I mean for everything else, that Whiplash is the one that I'm happy. I know there was all that kind of back. Isn't there a controversy going on with
There
Whiplash?
still is a controversy. It actually should be best written screenplay. It's not adapted from anything. The reason it got the adapted screenplay is
It was a
because
short.
they made a short test of
Yeah.
proof of concept thing, and in the Academy rules, if you shoot anything and then it turns into a film, it's adapted. Even though he was like, no, I was shooting the first 15 pages of my movie that then I made, it still counts as an adaptation, which is strange and weird, and it's
Yeah,
in
the way the
arbitration
rules are
right now.
worded
Yeah.
by the way the rules are worded is
Caveat.
if it's based on any previous, here's the magic word, on any previous published work. So that includes written, published, filmed, published, whatever. So if you have any movie that is based on a previously published work, so
Even your own.
it is strange, but the Academy's hands were kind of tied that because it by the letter of the rule, it does kind of fall within the rule.
But it wasn't published publicly. That's what's weird about it. It was just made.
I
It
agree.
wasn't a public.
Well,
publishing.
regardless, I think that the Theory of Everything, for me, and I don't remember. Sorry, someone said that they didn't think it was a strong script. I actually think not Theory of Everything. Imitation Game. I thought Imitation Game was a very strong script, and I thought that
Script is good, but I just meant the direction was
the
paint
direction.
by numbers.
Okay, yeah. And I'm not. I don't want to argue with that as far as the script itself. I thought, obviously, what Benedict Cumberbatch added to it, but to learn what you did about Alan Turing was done very creatively, and depending on what you can argue about, well, they didn't show the most horrific part of his life. It's not what the story was about. Not this particular movie. This particular movie was not about that. It got me engaged in a story that I did not know about. I love that era. I wanted to learn more about it, and I did because I thought the script was so engaging.
The ones you expect the less of
Yeah.
are the ones
Alicia?
that end
Yeah.
up doing the most. I didn't really like the inclusion of American Sniper, even though I like that what they were going for with the script was to structure it as a Western and not just a war movie. That was interesting, but I didn't feel like it was a particularly strong script in any way. And then Inherent Vice, I'm still conflicted about whether I like this or not. I know I give it more of a pass because I love Paul Thomas Anderson, but the script itself was so confusing. I can't imagine getting that script and reading it as an actor and going, what is happening here? So I didn't really think that should be included.
Yeah, I'm not really. I'm completely with you. I'm not thrilled with the inclusion. I'm not sure what I would have had bumped up to take their places, but I'm not really thrilled with the inclusion of either Hall's work or Inherent Vice. I don't think either of them should be there.
Is Wild in there?
It is not.
I would have put that
Old
in there.
Gone
but-
Girl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wild
Inherent
and Gone
Vice,
Girl.
I don't
yeah.
even
What
know what
about
I
Gone
saw
Girl?
still, and I know the novel was confusing, but as you know, you should make it more tangible to the audience. I love PTA as well. I think he's a legend, but I don't know about that. I think it's silly, this whole Whiplash thing. But if this gives him an opportunity to maybe win this category, I think that's great. And I'm completely with you on Imitation Game. I seem to maybe have liked it more than some people in this room. To me, the first time I saw it, I've seen it twice, I got bogged bogged down by the science and the intelligence, and I was wow. And the second time I really connected to the emotional component and how sad of a character he was. I thought it was a pretty well done film to pack so much of that into such an important time of history. So I'd be very happy if that took it.
Yeah, the big missing one is Gone Girl, Gillian Flynn.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was the big surprise.
Thank you. That's one I would have bumped out. We'll put in and bump something else out.
Yeah, but out of the ones that are there, I guess, either Whiplash because of the weird rule, maybe just to give it to it because of that, or Imitation Game.
Yeah.
See, for me, I think Imitation Game, the script is really weak and why Theory of Everything is so much better, even though it didn't get into the science of the two characters, for me, the Imitation Game, they just showed a bunch of weird things turning, and then they showed the German version, which was a weird,
Christopher.
Hellraiser box. You know what I'm saying? It's like they never got into any of the how is he figuring this out, or it just felt a little too surfacey for me. So I never really got engaged or locked into the story. Whereas in the opposite for Theory of Everything, even though some people could call it a little bit more of a Lifetime show. It was a little more soap opera-y. I really kind of got into the characters, but also saw the genius of Hawkins. Why this disability almost helped him turn inward to become this, pure thought mechanism. But also someone who's just as human as any one of us ends up having these strange turmoils with his relationships. So. American Sniper also, I feel it's a little disingenuous. The real American Sniper was a bigot, and it's in the book. So that they whitewashed it and made him just kind of an all-American guy upsets me. And I didn't know that until after I saw the movie. I didn't know a lot about the American Sniper. I saw the film. I just found it to be, by the numbers kind of directed. It was okay, and I like Bradley Cooper. He's a great actor. So it's really hard for him to screw up because he's so good. So I felt, he's the best thing of this movie. But it's just an okay film. The more I found out about it, the more I started to not like it. That it's it's based on this kind of an ugly guy, even though he did so much, he saved so many Americans. If they just put in a little bit more of the human aspect of him, I think it would have been a better movie. Instead of trying to hide it and just make him an American hero, he's still an American hero with all the flaws. Yeah. So I found that to be a little upsetting.
All right, well, let's start with you on this one, Schnepp. Should win, will win.
Oh, let's see. I think Whiplash, because of all this, it will win. It should win, and it will win. I think Whiplash is an incredibly well-written movie. So.
Dennis?
Yeah, I'm going to go Whiplash as well, just to prove a point. They should do that.
Should win, Whiplash will win, Imitation Game. They love brilliant people that end wars.
I'm going to say should win is Damien for Whiplash. Will win is going to be Anthony McCartan for Theory of Everything.
I think should win should be Whiplash, and I think will win is Imitation Game for exactly the points that you made. And because his story hadn't been told, and it's only been 2 or 3 years, I think that it has to be.
I think should win, Whiplash, will win, American Sniper, because the Academy seems to be really behind this movie.
All right, we'll move on to our last category that we're going to cover here today, and that is Best Original Screenplay. Or not based on a previously published work. All right.
Ridiculous.
And the nominees are Alejandro Inarritu and several other writers with him who I'm not even going to try to pronounce, for Birdman, Richard Linklater for Boyhood, Emax Fry and Dan Futterman for Foxcatcher, and Wes Anderson, Hugo Guinness for The Grand Budapest Hotel, and Dan Gilroy for Nightcrawler.
Finally, Nightcrawler love.
Love! I'm going to tell you, no surprise for me. Love this. I love this up and down. I think they nailed several of them that I might have made some changes on. But this, I can't even think of what I would change. I love this list. I think this one is great. Anyway, Christian, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they nailed it. Obviously the Whiplash thing is the only thing, depending on what the rule is. But yeah, overall, I think because we're not doing will win and all that stuff yet, but I'm happy to see Grand Budapest on there. Even I haven't seen it, but from everything that I'm hearing about, I know I haven't seen it yet. That's one of the ones that I want to see. But I'm glad that Wes Anderson, like you said, is getting the recognition. And I love that Nightcrawler's on there. You talk about an original script that it captures just such a statement on media today, and the way that Gilroy captured that should have been nominated for a lot more, but at least we got this one.
Amy Rose?
It's funny, I have a much easier time with the actors than this work because I appreciate all of them for different reasons. So it's like Birdman, that was a near flawless film to me. I mean, so inventive, so original, and such a really relevant time to talk about all the superhero and washed up celebrity, blah, blah, blah. And then you have Grand Budapest Hotel, Wes Anderson, everything he touches is gold. I mean, his ability to scheme this up out of nowhere is just baffling to me. And then Nightcrawler, to show that aspect of news and LA, the way it was so alive and sexy. And I would love, love, love if Nightcrawler got some love because, I mean, it really makes you think about news and the way we're fed information. So yeah, I'm glad. I'm really happy about this list.
Alicia?
I was really happy about this list as well. Grand Budapest Hotel, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but in my opinion, it has no right to be as good as it is because it's a historical epic, it's a heist film, it's a comedy, it's all these balance of tones, it's a story within a story within a story within a story, but it works, and the script is a real reason why this works. So happy to see Nightcrawler in there. I wonder where Selma would have fit in, because I know there was some controversy because they didn't use his actual speeches because they couldn't use his words, so they wrote them themselves, but they still had the same flavour. But I don't know where it would have fit in if it would have been considered original or adapted, but I love that script also.
Schnapp?
Yeah, Grand Budapest, we were talking about it earlier. Where's Willem Dafoe's supporting actor role? Nomination.
How about Ralph Fiennes? Who's
Yeah,
so
I mean,
good.
for me, I'm really happy to see Dan Gilroy get some nomination because it's a horrifying look at the manipulative way that news is and just how scumbags can win.
If it
So it's sort of like
bleeds,
it's a great seedy kind of noir film and it was very fantastically written. For me, Birdman, I really love the way it's written, but I like the execution better. I think to me, Boyhood is the one that I think should win. It's either would be Boyhood or Nightcrawler to me because Boyhood took a lot of. I know they probably did some kind of improv. I'd like to see a behind the scenes on how they planned out this whole 12-year journey, but it had to be planned out in a certain sense, or maybe wrote it at the beginning of every summer, like, here's what we're going to do. Yeah. But it really comes together as a real, like, lockdown feeling of something that's I've never seen in any other film that's never been accomplished in a narrative structure is showing 12 years of a family's life and how things come apart and come back together. And I think it's a fantastic film, and it started from the screenplay. So.
Dennis?
I'm glad to see Nightcrawler in there as well because I think a lot of people, or not a lot, some people didn't really get the gist of the movie. They didn't understand it was a dark comedy. Mm-hmm. People were expecting like more of a thriller or an action movie or something like that, but it's actually really funny, but you have to see it through those eyes. So I'm glad it got there. However, I still would go with Birdman with what it has to say. I mean, it's about like your validation of existence, and it takes all these different aspects of the character and brings them all together under that one umbrella. And so I think there's a lot of lines in there and the characters that they wrote that fit like just perfectly in that.
Yeah, for me, and then I'll start off the should win, will win. To me, 50% of a script is dialogue, and I don't think any film this year had better dialogue than Birdman. That was a very dialogue-driven film. I love the way it did it. So for me, I'm going to have a tie for should win. I believe Alejandro should win. I believe that would be tied for me with Dan Gilroy for Nightcrawler. Those are impeccably laid out story structure, dialogue movies. What will win, and no disrespect, that I didn't have them as should, but Linklater, Boyhood will win, even though I think those other two films are better. The scripts are better anyway. Alicia, should win, will win.
I'd like to do a 5-way tie. No, this is hard. This is really hard. I spoke a lot about Grand Budapest just then, but actually Birdman, I mean, that's my favourite film of the year, and I agree with you guys. It had so much to say, and I was sort of going, yeah, that's right, through the whole movie. So should win. Birdman will win. I'm hoping for Birdman.
All right, Christian?
I'm actually going to echo what you did there with the should is both Gilroy and Birdman. So Nightcrawler and Birdman. What will win, I think, is Grand Budapest Hotel.
All right.
I'm completely where you're at. I feel like it's Wes Anderson's year. I feel like he's worked his entire career to get people to actually understand why these quirky, charming films are important to cinema. So I do think it's a tie. I loved what you said about better execution than script. The script was great, but it's just how so alive of a picture and the drumming and everything. So I would go a tie between Gilroy as well, same exact thing that you said, and Inner 2. And then I think Wes is going to take it. My boy.
Dennis?
Birdman should win it and will win it, but if Nightcrawler wins, I won't be sad.
I won't be sad with any of these wins.
No, me either.
Schnepp?
Just
Yeah,
category.
I mean, I think I'd love to see Nightcrawler win. I'd love to see Birdman win. I think Boyhood will win, but I'd like to see all of the other three win. It's a tough one.
Well, folks, this has been a long one. Wait till you see our Oscar show. But thank you so much for joining us. And remember, head on over to oscars.com/nominees if you want to see a full list of all the other categories, which obviously we didn't have time to go into fully here. But thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank, sitting on the end there, of course, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
You find me at Twitter and Instagram, just John Schnepp and TDOSLWH, and Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Come on.
Yeah.
And, of course, right beside him, Mr. Dennis Zen.
You can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or on Instagram, Dennis.tzeng.
Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Amy Rosie on Twitter and Instagram, and AMCI Indie Spotlight. New episodes up.
Over on this side of me, we got Christian Harloff.
Christian Harloff everywhere. Hashtag everything is awesome.
And over there in the end, Miss Alicia Malone.
You can send your hate mail to Christian Harloff and send your love to @Alicia Malone on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
And you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and, of course, on Trivia Crack @John Campia. And I want to thank, first of all, Jonathan running the board over there, Fact Checker Ray sitting there at the back. And thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to our videos. Click the thumbs up button. We are going to put an audio version of this up online, so check the description of this, and you can find where you can subscribe to our podcast feed. And we cannot wait to come back again tomorrow. So thanks for joining us, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.